Good afternoon, everyone. This is Matt Bonini, the Strategic Development Officer for RSI. I'm here with Dr. Kahle from Navigate HCR. This is our second webinar as the follow-up that we're doing with regards to the 1095s and the A, Bs, and Cs. As Dr. Kahle alluded to in the last webinar that we did, we were going to be taking a deeper dive into the employee communications, the additional employee communications for you, for your staff. With that being said, let me introduce Dr. Kahle and have her take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate your time today. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. Appreciate your time. Talking about such a difficult subject and trying to, break this down in little small bits and pieces. So Matt and the team from RSI reached out to us here at Navigate HCR and asked us to put together some communication pieces that we could share with you, the employer, as well as pieces that you can share with your employees. So what we're going to do today is we've got about 8 different pieces that will be available to you on your portal through RSI as well as your portal through Navigate HCR. And you've got communication pieces for those questions that you're getting this year, especially around reporting. As I mentioned in our last webinar, obviously the reporting is new this year, and they really include the 1095Bs and the 1095Cs. But I'm also going to introduce you to one other tax documentation, and that is the 1095As. So the first screen that you'll see, or the first form that you'll see, is something called Know Your Insurance, and really to know your tax forms. So as I mentioned in our first webinar, this is really the IRS setting the standards around what needs to be reported to them and what needs to be given to your employees. So let me do a deeper dive on all 3 of these because I know that people are asking questions on this. This form actually has great hyperlinks on it. So the nice thing about it is you can click on the hyperlinks and it will take you to those beautiful IRS websites. It will take you to the Department of Labor websites. You could spend a Friday night there at those websites and really dive into all of these fun tax forms. So as I mentioned, there are brand new forms for 2015, and this really looks at the 3 forms. So the A form is probably going to be a new concept for you, the 1095A. This is the health insurance marketplace statement. Depending upon what state you're in, you either have a federal state exchange or a state-run exchange. This is where employees that are not eligible for your company plan or not working full-time can go and get insurance. There also is a way for employees to get subsidies on this insurance that's either offered through the state or the federal. We know that this exchange marketplace is going to start shrinking, and we know that it's also ultimately going to come back to you, the employer, to make sure that your employees are not eligible for these subsidies. So they've created a statement called the 1095A. This A statement takes a look at the coverage of the employee and their dependents. It takes a look at if there's any subsidies that are given, either from the federal or the state, and it reports to the IRS this information. Some of you may get this question about the A statement, and this just means that those employees have the coverage through the state, either the state exchange or the federal exchange. Here's more information on it. As I mentioned, these are hyperlinked. So the nice thing is you could click on the employer shared responsibility and the IRS government website pops up. You could also click on the premium tax credit to take a look at this. And really your responsibility on this on the employer side is when an employee comes and asks you this question, you have more in your arsenal, in your toolbox to arm them with communication. As I went through the other webcast, the 1095B is the forms that come from the health insurance providers. It really comes from the insurance companies outside the marketplace, so not the state exchange or the government exchange, the federal exchange. It really is based on those health insurance providers. I showed you a quick snapshot of what those look like. You can certainly click the link to see what those look like also. And the B forms, your employees that are on your company benefit plan will be receiving those. And then finally, our C forms. Our C forms really boil down to, again, the responsibility of you, the employer, and what those C forms look like. Who will get those C forms? Again, you can click on these links to see those C forms. The nice thing about this 8-page document is obviously it can be printed front and back. You also have some great questions about these forms. So what you'll see in these documentations is what we're trying to give you is, again, to arm you with communications for your employees as well as for yourself. This really arms you with what it is that the forms are out there, since they're all brand new this year. It also goes into those questions and answers and who receives the forms. So I start with this form because this has an overview of all three. What we've also done is we've broken down the B forms and the C forms, knowing that if your employees are on any company-based policy or your employer-based policy, we have some more descriptions on that. So just be aware, this is one of the communication pieces that we have. As I said, I have about 8 different communication pieces. This next piece that I'm just going to show you, and I'm just brought it in as another piece, Matt had asked me to include information about the A, which is again the federal or the state exchange. This is a 1-page summary that really talks about that A, what it is, if a person has received it. And again, as the employer, you can decide if you communicate this to your employees or not. However, it is a new tax form that's out there, and employees may come to you with questions, and my job, again, is to arm you with that. We also then have your B communications, the same type of format, knowing your benefits, and we tried to make these in a 1-page document. Remember, the B is the form that comes from the insurance carrier. It talks a little bit about what this form is and about the tax returns. I know there's been all kinds of questions about tax returns. With the extension, as I talked about in our past webinar, with these forms that need to get to the employees by March 31st, the IRS has said none of these forms need to be submitted with taxes, because tax season opens for all people to start their taxes on January 18th. Well, I'm one of those people that always files an extension to get me through till October. So just be aware that the IRS is asking me to hold on to this form, keep it in my tax file, because I'm supposed to keep that stuff for 7 years. And if the IRS wants to look at it, they could come back and certainly request it. But for this year, and this year alone, none of these forms need to be submitted with your taxes. That is not true for next year. Next year, all these forms will need to be submitted in for tax purposes. But let's bite off that elephant one bite at a time, because this is so overwhelming that my job, again, is to boil this down and make sure you understand what we need to focus on for this year. Our last but not least of knowing your benefits is certainly the C form, which is, again, the same 1-pager. So not only do you have an 8-page overview of the A and the B and the C, you now have a 1-pager of the A, a 1-pager of the B, and a 1-pager of the C. So again, you can decide to print these out. You can decide to keep them on your computer or however you want to handle it. Print them out, send them to your managers, your general managers, your district managers, however you want to handle it. Our job, again, is to make sure that you've got the education and the keys in order to do it. So now the next thing that we created for you, which we're really excited about, and it's certainly something that you can use, is employee letters and communications. So let's talk the B communications first. What we've done here is we have created a communications flyer in English and in Spanish that does need a little bit of customization. We've just tried to give you an overview of what it is. So if your employees, again, are coming to you about information, and this is about the B forms, you have a letter that you can give to them, or you can, copy this on front and back. You can insert your name if they want to call anybody. You could insert your title, or the owner can insert her title, but we really wanted to give you just a letter of a communication piece. So you will find that we have a letter of a communication piece, as well as information of an employee letter of that same communication piece. Oops, I pulled the wrong one. Pardon me. Let me get the B form up. And we've got two different communication pieces that you can use. We've got one that can go to you as a communication piece, your district manager, your employees, and then we've got a full other letter in English and Spanish that you basically are telling them what it is. So two main communication pieces for the B forms, English and Spanish, two different ways, an employee letter as well as an employee communication piece. So some of our restaurant groups have used that communication piece in order to send that out to the district managers, in order to send that out to employees that have email. There's all kinds of ways that you certainly can do that. Just be aware that all of these letters are going to be on your Compass website, as well as Milka Alvarado, who is your dedicated account manager, has these at her fingertips. Our job with these is to get these out to you if you want them in email format. If you want to go into Compass, log into Compass, and download these letters, we certainly can do that. So just be aware we've got them at our fingertips and want to make them available at your fingertips also. So now that you've seen that we've done the B letters, I'm sure you know that we have the C letters also, right? So you can't do one without the other, right? They go hand in hand. So as I've mentioned, we have different kinds of employee communications. You've got English and Spanish again. They also need customization, and we've tried to pull it out in red for the customization that needs to happen. So just be aware that we've got these letters too that you can use in order to make sure that your employees have these letters and are making sure that they understand what is happening with these letters. So just be aware that our job is to have you have it in your toolbox, decide how you want to use it. So let me summarize all the communication pieces that we have and where you have access to these communications. You have an overview, an 8-page overview of all of the IRS new tax forms, the A, the B, and the C. That sort of gives you a great overview of the forms. Then you have a 1-page for each one of those. A 1-page for the A's, the 1095As, a 1-page for the B's, and a 1-page for the C's. Then we've designed 2 different custom communication pieces for you to use, either via email, delivery to your general managers, your district managers, as well as even handing it out to your employees in both English and Spanish. So 4 communication pieces for the B and 4 communications to the C. Let me make sure you know how to get these. These will all be loaded onto your Compass portal. We also, if you want to send Milka an email, who is your account manager, and if you want more clarification on these forms, she certainly can help you. Milka's email address is Milka, MILACH, @navigatehcr.com. Most of you have her information and an email from her, and be aware that she's been communicating with you with all types of things. So you've got a variety of sources and ways for you to go get this information. So just be aware that if there are other communication pieces that you're looking for, chances are we have it in our arsenal, or chances are that we can create it. We're trying to make this an easy path for you for this year. Next year will obviously be a little bit different in the fact that we can make sure you've got everything. So again, if you haven't had any conversation with Milka Alvarado here at our company, Milka's phone number also, just so that you've got it, is our phone number, which is 855-742-7427, and her extension is 200. Let me spell her name again for you so you've got it. It's Milka, which is MILCAH at navigatehcr.com. Again, it's MIL as in Larry, C as in cat, AH at navigatehcr.com. And her name is pronounced Milka. She also is bilingual. So if you have employees that have questions about their B forms or their C forms, you certainly can have them reach out to her also, and she can answer those questions. Hopefully that answers all of your questions this year on the new forms. And as I always mention with ACA, anything I said this year, you may want to write in pencil because chances are you're going to erase it for next year. But our goal is to make sure that you are armed and have things in your toolbox in order to help communicate this. So with that, I'm going to stop for a second and see if Matt has questions. I know he usually has some questions from you guys, and he gets those questions and fires them to me. But with that, I'll turn it over to Matt to conclude our webinar for today.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Kahle. I really appreciate your time. And as always, the letters are meant as a guide for your employees. And once again, the resources will be on your Compass portal. The recorded link will be in the Resource Center on the RSI marketing site. We will also put up an alert that will have the recorded webinar, and I will also include all the documents as well along with the recorded webinar. Once again, I want to thank everybody for your time. I know this topic is constantly changing. Dr. Kahle, you're amazing when it comes to trying to break down these complex processes into manageable bites for folks. Once again, it will be on the RSI marketing site. It will also be an alert in the website, and I will include the attachments in the alert. Thank you, and have a great day.